What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I wanted to talk about a pretty serious issue. We've talked about battle passes, season passes, price content in that way. This really ticks me off, and it's not necessarily anything yet, but I do think it's a hint at things in the future. So, what is the story? Well, this is actually from a YouTube channel called Bellular News. I actually recognized this guy when I saw the image of him talking about it. I was like, wait, I've seen some of his news recaps. This is a very skilled YouTuber, a very good YouTuber, and what this is a Blizzard survey that was sent out. And granted, right, surveys don't have to be like everything that's coming down the line, okay? They can be gauging the waters, and some things could happen and some things could not happen, okay? Sometimes companies will ask about, like, hey, what would you think if we brought back, like, X franchise? And sometimes they do it because of, the idea that you put it on the survey kind of means you're already thinking about it, right? That's my point for this video, is it may or may not happen, okay, what we're about to talk about, but the fact that it's on the survey means that it's something floating around some executives, some people, their heads, right? Otherwise, if they weren't even thinking about it, why would you put it into a survey, correct? I think that's a fair point to be made here, okay? So what we have is them gauging interest on what it would take for people to spend X amount of money on, like, future DLC, right? Whether it be like battle passes, season passes, whatever you want to classify it as. But, like, what's your number, right? And now the numbers are a little scary. They're actually $50, $70, $80, and $100. And what's said in this is like, well, hey, the expansion pass, right? The actual game content that, you would, like, want to do it for, you'd want to buy this thing for it. It comes with everything, right? So $50, you would get, say, an unnamed, and it's not necessarily like Diablo 4 is having more expansion passes as time goes on, right? It's not naming any of them. It's not saying, hey, the next expansion pass is gonna be $80. It's simply saying, all right, hey, what if in the future, with this expansion pass, right, this thing that adds a lot of content to the game, that's included in all of these, 50, 70, 80, 100. But what if we messed around with it, and what if we included other things? What would you be, like, willing to pay? So, like, let's give you some incentives. And some of the stuff that's thrown in here, honestly, I want to, like, skim over it. Number one, because I'm not too deep in Diablo anyway, so I can't give that good of commentary. But number two, in my brutally honest opinion, it doesn't matter, right? Horse armor, one of them actually that was kind of a joke, right? One of the things that actually is being focused on is, I believe, inventory space. And from watching the Act Man, actually, his opinion on Diablo, I remember one of the things he talked about was inventory and moving stuff around, and them, kind of tweeting that they're working on it. Well, in the survey, I believe they would charge for it. So say extra space to store stuff in Diablo, you would get for, say, the $80 one, but you wouldn't get in the $50 one, right? Just to throw an example out. So there is, I mentioned horse armor because that's a joke, and I cannot believe people are actually buying this stuff. But, like, this, the inventory space, that's a real thing that, yes, may or may not happen. But again, they literally put it in a survey. So while, yeah, it could not happen, they're thinking about it. They're literally saying, well, you want inventory. Like, we got people tweeting at us nonstop ever since the game released because there's not enough room and all of these, game mechanics. Well, what if we added those game mechanics back or expanded those game mechanics? Fundamentals, core game mechanics. What if we gave them back to you or expanded them, but we had you pay for them instead? Like, what would you think about that one? And here, we'll give you some price ranges to kind of know what it would be like. And, the title, the big, headline, let's say, that's going around is the whole $100 thing, right? Because, again, like, factually, in the survey, they're throwing around these potential price ranges, and $100 is a potential price range. So let me just say this. Outside of Diablo, I actually think the rest of what I'm about to say does not even apply to Diablo. I mean, it does, but it applies, like, in general. For the love of God, can we stop? Can we please? Like, I've made fun of Diablo's horse thing, and I don't know how much it is, $40. I saw one that was like $65. I think horse armor comes included in that, but there's also other things. I don't know, and I also don't care. Why are people doing this? Why are people spending money? It's the same issue that I've had for a long time, many people have, with, like, the sports games. If you didn't do the Ultimate Teams in Madden, in FIFA, I bought, like, maybe $10, $15 worth of Ultimate, team cards back in, like, NHL 11 or 12, very early on, when I was probably 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that range. I did it one time in one version of the game, and I never did it again. And as I got older, I realized, oh, it's a scam. Like, the whole thing is very much psychological, and the idea of the gambling kind of stuff. Like, we've talked about this, right? And I mean, I think this is a real issue in gaming. But the question, or the issue, I guess, I don't even know anymore. It's all the same. Like, if people just stop, we wouldn't have this issue. Yes, it's predatory, and it's also on the companies. I think a lot of it's on the companies, but I think parents just need to be a little more strict with their credit cards with children. And then, like, adults that do this, they need to really, like, look at themselves and say, do I need this Ultimate Team pack for $20? Do I really need horse armor for X amount of money? See so like, it doesn't even have to do with Diablo, I think, at this point. The idea that you would charge any, like, you bought the game. You bought the game for, I believe it was $70. I bought the game. I own Diablo 4. It's over there. Not physically, actually. It's digital. It's on my PlayStation, okay? I have Diablo 4. I actually like the base game. And I think maybe I made an impressions video back in June. I want to make that clear in case anybody cares or is wondering. I think many people like the fundamental Diablo 4. It's all of the other practices that Blizzard does, and they've done not just in Diablo 4, but in the past, and people have, really done some great research and chronicalized everything. Is that a word? I don't know. They've done a really good job, right? This is not good, and it's not going to be good going forward. Why in God's name you would charge when you already spent $70? Why you're even wondering if people would buy $100 expansion passes is beyond me. You know what I mean? And, like, this is Arkham Knight, historically, and maybe notoriously, did that, I think, $50 one. And that was back in 2015, I guess, going into 2016. And that was a huge deal because that was really like breaking the trend. Like, you don't do that, right? Like, if a game costs $60, and there was plenty of, DLC packs that games would do, and it'd be $10, $15, $20, $25, kind of you max out there. This was in, the early 2010s, mid 2010s, right? You really didn't go past that. When you had Arkham Knight, and I don't think it was the first one, but it was definitely the most prominent, massive game, ending of the trilogy, right? All that, and they do $50. Well, you spend $60 on the game, and then you spend $50, which is almost the exact same. I mean, right? Math, numbers. You almost spend the exact same for bonus stuff for the game. And obviously that was a huge thing of debate, and it's continued. And obviously now with live service and all this stuff, there is a difference between a game coming out for free and then also doing this. I think it's still annoying. I think it's still ruining, to an extent, that, like, sector of gaming. I'm not a fan of live service. I'm not a fan of games that stay around forever. Generally, I have like Rocket League, Dead by Daylight. Like, I've played and I've been around, and I try to not be ignorant of it. I think that's one of the main things I really try to do. I know people enjoy it, I know people play it, but I try to, like, keep all those things in mind. I know that they work sometimes, not all. In fact, most times they don't work, but they work sometimes. I get how it works. I get the idea of, constantly giving people reasons to log on or spend money, and you'll get something that will then get you something else. Like, I do understand it. I don't think it's good. I think it's very, very bad, and I think it's only getting worse. And when you have something like this happening, again, like, there is a difference. Like, if you had a free-to-play game that was offering $100 packs for something, I still think you're insane if you do it. But at the same time, hey, the game's free. You want it for cosmetics or whatever, whatever you want to do. There is a difference, I guess, specifically in this situation for Diablo, because in the survey, there are literally core, like, mechanic, like I said earlier, right, with inventory space. And inventory space was just one. There's like 2 or 3 other things in there that are, like, basic. You should just put it out for free. Should just be an update, that kind of stuff, where those are tied to price points. So number one, they should never do that, right? That should never happen. And number two, if you're going to do it, like, can we be talking $5, $10, $15, $20? Why are we throwing around the close to the 3-figure range, right? Why are we throwing around $70, $80, $90, $100? Why are we that high? The game itself was $70. Why are you charging $100? And that's one expansion. That's one. Well, what if they say, well, do you want other features? I guess we can put other features in, and we'll do another battle pass for $100. So now you have the game, you get 2 expansion passes. Those are $100 each. And you don't just get the expansion passes. We're not devils. We're going to give you like inventory space. And we're going to give you like horse armor. You like horses. Well, here's that too. You only get it for the $80 one. You don't get it for the $50. It's like, do we want that? Is that really where we want the gaming industry to go? Obviously, it's not the whole gaming industry. I'm not insane. I'm not an idiot. But again, like this section or sector, whatever S word you want to use, of gaming, I think is just a cluster F, and I think it has been for a long time, and I think it's going to continue to be because of this stuff. Again, you could say I'm jumping the gun. I don't think there's many like Diablo diehard people that are going to, fight too hard with what I'm saying. This video is not going to make it to like the mainstream. We're just kind of, this community here, but I just find it crazy that people would actually support this. I don't see how you can see it as a good thing. And again, while it may not happen, the idea is they're thinking about it, right? Like, I don't know. You could use any other weird example. If you ask something on a survey, yeah, it might not happen, but like, they have to be experimenting with it. They have to be at least considering it. Otherwise, they wouldn't throw it out to you to see what you think. Like, firstly, they think about it. Then they say, well, what would the audience, like we have to kind of gauge them to see if they hate it or love it. Let's go throw it out to them. But that means they've already done their side of it because, you know what I mean? Like, that's just the order. So I don't know. I feel like it could absolutely happen in this life cycle for Diablo or maybe the next game or, within the next 5 or so years. Absolutely could happen. I would not be shocked at all if an expansion pass for Diablo came out with $70 and it had all of this stuff in it and people debated it, right? I'm sure that's going to happen. Not that it could, that it will. It's just a matter of time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hopefully you found this video entertaining at the very least. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next one.